upon viewing the body of the former Prime Minister. One in many, which included mourners who are patching onto water tanks to at least get a glimpse of the events that were happening at the stadium and the security arrangements that had been provided by the military. A man who was called or known by many names, including Jacom, and yesterday, as we had seen, mourners who had called for his voice to roar once again, and celebrating him as an astute statesman who not only had represented the people who elected him in Parliament, but the voice that championed for equality. And the homecoming in Kisumu yesterday that they waited for so long following the announcement of his death on Wednesday. They received back the body of their son yesterday in Kisumu County, where he was born, to be specific, in Maseno. And Odinga will be buried today in Bondo after the country mourned him for the last 4 days. Today, the celebrations will be headed by the president who will be here at the Opoda farm in Bondo, where we have been keeping an eye. I should say our team also includes Sam Gituku, who has been there since Wednesday, giving us the traditional flavor of what's been happening there as Bondo comes to life with grief, of course, as it today receives its son, Raila Amolo Odinga. And we had seen in display the traditional Luo culture as CI residents mourned the demise of their beloved son, Raila Odinga, who they will receive today. His widow, as we had seen yesterday, Ida Odinga, pleaded with mourners to accord the former Prime Minister a peaceful send-off as it gears up for the ceremony to be attended by foreign dignitaries as well. The explanations that were given by Sam Gituku from Bondo in Siaya County, also in his company, and most times where those analyses were provided, is Joseph Bonyo, who is the managing editor of our sister station, Ramogi, and as broken down yesterday in the story done by my colleague here in Nairobi, Safin Achieng Oma, bringing the beauty of the blend in a culture, the practices that will be on display today as well, according to the elders who had spoken to Citizen Television and the leadership who we had seen yesterday streaming to the Opoda farm in Bondo, where they have handed over bulls and traditions that they say underpin the African culture, which they said is a measure of reciprocity, given, for instance, how the former Prime Minister, upon the demise of former Vice President Michael Kijana Wamalwa, and yesterday it was the part of bargain on the end that was provided in the end by the former Defense Minister Eugene Wamalwa, who said it is the measure of reciprocity that Odinga deserves when he delivered the bulls in the company of other leaders from traditional Luhya counties. For now, let's cross over to my colleagues Stephen Leto and Emmanuel To, who are standing by at the Opoda farm of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and which is in Bondo, Siaya County. Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Emmanuel. And such a monumentous day, and events seem to be taking shape where you are. What can you tell us?
Good morning from Bondo. This is Raila Odinga's rural constituency in Siaya County, and this is where his final journey will be made today. Of course, several dignitaries have begun arriving at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University here in Bondo, awaiting the arrival of his body that laid at his rural home in Opoda Farm. And we expect that any moment from now, all the dignitaries will be seated and the funeral service or the burial ceremony will kick off. It's a day that has been waited for. There is a lot of, emotions out there. When we were making our way here, there were a lot of people who are coming, members of the public, mourners making their way. The setup has been made in a manner that is going to accommodate all the mourners who will be coming here. And so you've seen already the emotions are palpable. Raila's final journey.
Well, as you have rightly put it, Leto, the emotions can show on the faces of the thousands of Raila's supporters who've been turned to mourners who are already in this field. I can tell you we were here at around 4 a.m. and we saw this field was already full to capacity. And I don't know whether there will be more capacity outside, but for those who have not come here, perhaps I think the organizers will look for something. But right now, as you can see just right behind us, there is some activity. The military officers who have been escorting the body of Raila Odinga are just getting the catafalque ready. That is the table where the body of Raila Odinga will be placed before the service now takes over. But of course, Leto, as you have already put it, it is going to be a very emotional service towards the end.
Absolutely, absolutely. This particular ground is where Raila Odinga used to hold a lot of his functions when he is here in Siaya. And we see today these very same grounds providing a space for mourners to come and give him their final respect. Yesterday at the Mambo Leo in the Jomo Kenyatta Stadium in Kisumu, we saw members of the public turning up in large numbers in thousands to bid farewell and just to wave goodbye to Raila Odinga, the former Prime Minister and the party leader for the Orange Democratic Movement. I remember President William Ruto had declared that this will be a state funeral, and all the mannerism and all the characteristics that you are seeing here, the military are doing all they are doing in terms of just preparing where the body of Raila Odinga will be made. And so we want also to bring one of the guy who has been here with us, Sam Gituku. Good morning, Sam Gituku. We've been seeing you here in Bondo. How have you been?
Well, it's been quite a journey, covering different aspects of the preparations for the funeral. And obviously this morning, witnessing the very many numbers that are here, it is a testament of the work that has gone into it. I remember last night we were here looking at the preparations that were here. We saw some of the members of the public had already arrived here, and they were saying they are not going home because if they go home, they will not find the seats, the slots that they need to sit on.
It's interesting how, the love for Raila Odinga by his people here in Bondo. We've seen yesterday the body viewing was, went into the night as the body even spent one last night at his home.
Yes, and of course, living by the cultural requirements of this community. And you recall that initially the plan was to have the body first reporting to the home, then going to the viewing place. But they had to make some adjustments. We started with the viewing place, and then later on went to the home, where it has had an overnight stay. But still at that time, you can imagine that members of the public were still there to view the body, to pay their last respects. And I think it's the least they could do for the man that they loved. Absolutely.
There are, of course, a lot of things to expect. A lot of dignitaries. Yesterday we saw the widow for the former Prime Minister for Zimbabwe, Mr. Changirai, who came all the way to mourn with Ida Odinga and the family. And you expect, of course, more dignitaries. I don't know whether you have seen the program and how does the day look like, just for our viewers to get a glimpse.
Yes, I saw a bit of it. The plan is to start the interment service at about 9 o'clock, hoping that they'll be in a position to conclude that process by about 1 p.m. so that thereafter they're able to move to the interment area, which is in Kango Jaramogi. We will wait and see how they are able to manage the timing, knowing the much interest, the magnitude of the interest that the public has, and of course even the mourners. But I think I have to say this, Stephen, that comparing with the very first day, on the day the body arrived, versus what has happened in the days subsequent, it's total difference, because we've seen a lot of commitment, dedication by the security officers to be in a position to ensure that everything goes as per plan. You recall that yesterday the expectation had been that the body would be driven by road all the way from Kisumu to here, but there were adjustments made to ensure that we do not have the challenges that had been experienced back in Nairobi.
Absolutely, Sam. Of course, that is what we continue to bring you. Of course, this is just one of the opener links that we are giving you. We are going to spread ourselves. All our reporters will be dotted across Bondo, because from Kango Kajaramogi to Opoda Farm to right here where the function will be taking place, the interment service of course will be taking place, will be of course crossing over to Seth Olale and Laura Otieno, who are also on standby to give us what they are seeing from the other end of the public, just to see how the members of the public are getting in, what is the security protocol that has been put in place to ensure that this interment service is seamless without any distraction. And so for now, I want to hand over to Seth Olale and Laura Otieno. The final journey for the former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga already underway here at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University. Thousands of mourners have already taken their seats. There are many more who are coming. And Laura, we came with you all the way from Kisumu. And as early as 4 a.m., there are those who are literally walking from as far as from Seme, Kisiani, and even Kisumu itself.
Well, indeed, Seth, it is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing. I know it's a solemn occasion, and it is death. And you are seeing people, some of them with their traditional regalia are coming to mourn their hero. And, there's a lot of worry that a lot of people will not make it to Bondo. But then, like you said, people are literally walking, Some of them saying, we must go there, come what may. If not at the ground, some of them say they'll go all the way to Kango Kajaramogi to see, pay their final respects to their leader. And Raila Odinga, this is his home. And he grew up here. A lot of times himself, his siblings, so a lot of his extended family are from here. A lot of his childhood friends are from here. So of course that's why we see a lot of people, coming in to pay their last respects.
And they're doing it in style. It is still a dream for the many thousands, millions of Raila Amolo Odinga, the deceased supporters who are just seeing the events unfolding here as if they are already in a dreamland, a dream that they did not anticipate, albeit that of doom. But according to them, it is also a moment of celebrations. We know that certain rituals that have already been done, but Laura, just tell us, in terms of logistics, we have the body of Raila Amolo Odinga that will now come from his home in Opoda to this particular venue, but then there is another 15 minutes drive from the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University to his final resting home. That is Nyamira Kajaduong Jaramogi. How far is it? And we will see another airlift, or this time a well-organized procession.
Because it's a military event, it's sort of like hard to preempt what should happen moving forward. But then, like you say, we are about 15 minutes out of the burial site, and it is a narrow road coming from Jaramogi University, going into Nyamira and then into Kango Kajaramogi, and it's a village literally. So we expect people to be lining up on the side of the road, those who are not able to make it here to pay their final respects. But then that Kango Kajaramogi is almost like it's a mausoleum in itself. So it's normally open to the public for people to go anytime that they want. And yesterday we saw Raila's sister Ruth Odinga saying that it was Raila's decision to turn their home, because that is their home where their father used to live, into a mausoleum, so that there can be that history that's associated with the Odinga family and the role they played in the Kenyan politics. You know, his father was a politician, Raila was a politician, his sister, his brother, a lot of the family members are in politics. So it is, like you say, a celebration in itself. People coming to also see the rich history that Kango Kajaramogi itself has to offer and what Bondo as a whole has to offer at this period of mourning said.
There have been quite some political pronouncements already as far as the leadership, the succession debate is concerned. We've had leaders boldly, stating and suggesting the direction, the political direction which they think that is vital for the community of the Luos. We had the Cabinet Secretary for Energy, that is Opiah Wandayi, saying that it was the late Raila's wish and strategy that the community remains in government and partners with UDA's Dr. President William Ruto. And so, according to your own assessment, even as more and more VVIPs start arriving here at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University, Laura, according to you, will we see more of that in today's speeches? Remember that the president took his time to say that he is indebted in terms of what the late premier did for him in stabilizing the nation and also in ensuring that peace and unity is upheld at a very difficult moment in his political journey as a president following the anti-government protest occasion in 2024 and also 2025. But in terms of political pronouncements, what do you envisage today?
Well, I don't expect it to come out very strongly because, it's a solemn period, people are mourning. But like you say, there have been those undertones, someone trying to softly declare that it was the wish anyway of Raila Odinga that the community continues in broad-based government. And even looking at yesterday, the Jomo Kenyatta Stadium is one of the projects that was initiated during the handshake period, which is one of the things that Raila did when he was trying to work with governments to bring development projects into this area. There are a lot of projects as well in this region. There's landing sites being set up across the whole area. There's the CS for Energy, who's a native of this place. So there might be those undertones, but I don't expect them to be so pronounced because at the end of the day, people still want to celebrate their hero. And according also to the Luo culture and in terms of the kind of mourning that there is, succession is normally discussed after the deceased is buried. So of course, we might see a lot of that, maybe softly playing out, but then becoming more pronounced as the days goes by after the burial of Raila Odinga at Kango Kajaramogi said.
Thank you so much, Loda. And of course, we've also seen global leaders, regional leaders, and also from the continent. We've seen presidents, head of governments, prime ministers giving their tributes to the late Raila Amolo Odinga. But also we've seen some kind of cultural and traditional appreciation. We've seen different leaders also bringing the symbolic bull, to offer to the family and also as a sign of thanksgiving to the community and to the bereaved family who are also supposed to feed but per the tradition. Remember that mourning is not just today nor yesterday, but it is a 7-day period according to the customs and culture of the Luo community. But in terms of appreciation, we saw some heightened activity from the Kalenjin community. A total of 80 bulls were brought to the Opoda farm here in Bondo, Siaya County. But also we saw delegations from Western Kenya. We saw the Trans Nzoia Governor, George Natembeya, bringing also bulls, as well as the likes of Eugene Wamalwa, the likes of Vihiga's Senator, Godfrey Osotsi, Kakamega Governor, Baraza Fernandez, and many more. What does this tell you in terms of how they are honoring, a person who also reached out to this community to foster coexistence?
Yes, I mean, it's an interesting mix having seen all these people and even just members of the public coming to pay their last respect. So of course we will be mingling with them later on to bring our viewers up to speed with the events that are happening here at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University in regards to the burial of Raila Odinga, the former Prime Minister and the ODM Premier.
Well, Laura, we can say this again and again, but today is the climax. Today is the D-Day. If someone has not gotten over it yet, emotions will run deep today because we are expecting Raila Amolo Odinga, the late, to be interred at the Nyamira Jaramogi home here in Bondo, Siaya County. And already, like I said, more and more dignitaries are arriving. I've seen a number of principal secretaries led by the internal and national administration principal secretary, that is Dr. Raymond Amolo, who has been at the very center of the coordination, and especially here in Luo Nyanza, just making sure that things go according to plan. That his heavy security that has been beefed up not only inside this particular venue but also outside because of the crowd that keeps on surging. Like we mentioned earlier, we have huge delegations from around Siaya County as far as Turkana. People are coming, mourners are coming here in their thousands and will be accorded that particular ceremony that they all yearn for, the final state funeral that is going to culminate in an official burial ceremony of the former Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya, the great, the legend, and the hero, Raila Amolo Odinga. And we'll be keeping you up to speed. We are live in all our sister stations as well, Ramogi TV, as well as Inodo TV, plus all our 16+ radio and vernacular stations, all social media platforms as well. And so kindly stay tuned because this is that moment we've all been waiting for.
The quintet of Seth Olale, Laura Otieno, Sam Gituku, Emmanuel Toh, and Stephen Leto at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University there, giving us a flow of how the events will be today. And you have seen the color, the culture, the military display, and the honor that to the final day they are granting the former Prime Minister following the proclamation by the head of state on Wednesday when Mr. Odinga passed on in India and his body flown back to the country a day later. And Bondo today explodes with grief, a display of tradition, military honor, and you can see the preparations of where the casket bearing the body of the former Prime Minister will be laid as prepared by members of the Defense Forces in their ceremonial attire. The session today will be led by the President, who will get clarity of the program, and the speakers who will be paying their final tributes to the former Prime Minister, as we had witnessed during the Friday funeral service at the Nyayo National Stadium in the county of Nairobi before the body was flown yesterday aboard a military aircraft to Kisumu for the public viewing, which happened at the Jomo Kenyatta Stadium in Kisumu County, in Mamboleo, to be specific, where thousands of mourners had paid their respects to the former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, who was born in 1945 and passed on in 2025. And the live pictures are coming to you from Bondo in Siaya County, where the attention of the nation and the world shifts to today as President William Ruto leads the grand send-off that mark the end of an era that the former Prime Minister has had before his death in India. And of course, the beauty of the culture in display that the quintet of Laura, Seth, Sam, Leto, and To had given a synopsis of, which included the different delegations that visited the homestead, the Opoda farm, the rural home of the former Prime Minister in Bondo, including the delivery of the bulls by the Kalenjin community and the leaders who delivered the same. And the traffic of people who had streamed to the homestead where yesterday the wife of the former Prime Minister, the Excellency Mama Aida Odinga, was in the presence of other family members. And a celebration that also includes the towering political legacy and the void that he leaves behind, the former Prime Minister, Raila Amolo Odinga, and what this then portends for the country given the enormous weight he brought to the country's political arena. Of course, on many fronts, including one, the ballast and the support, the stability, political insurance he offered the president in the aftermath of the 2024 Generation Z-led demonstrations and the thunderbolt which followed, ending with the breach of parliament when members of the National Assembly dared against the public cry and the punitive tax proposals passed a bill that many had billed as punitive in the sense of the economic times. And the era that started with him coming on board the government and the 4 ODM party members who were absorbed into cabinet by the head of state in the names of Ali Hassan Joho, Wycliffe Ambetsa, Oparanya, Opiyo Wandayi, and John Badi, who were ODM and still are ODM party members. The Prime Minister has explained his case in supporting the administration of President William Ruto as pulling back the country from the abyss. His description, of course, faulted by the young generation who had faulted him for supporting the government, which they accused of killing the protesters, according to the documentations done by organizations, including the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. A man who has been described as starry-eyed, geostrategist, internationalist, wealth of history that he possessed, and a moment that he sought to be the chairperson of the African Union Commission when he threw his candidacy into the ring before the Addis Ababa contest between him and Djibouti's Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, who ended up becoming the chairperson of the commission. What, however, had captured the attention and the love for Odinga in the continent was his explanation of the problems which he said had bedeviled the continent, providing a prescription of the diagnosis which he said can be addressed given the continent and Africa's enormous wealth, its arable land, its young population during the debate in Addis Ababa, the continent's diplomatic capital, and of course historian by his own right, given the exposure he had and in times during and after independence in 1963. Of course, born in 1945, and the deaths, a year that signifies many things, including the end of World War II, the formation of the United Nations, the birth of Raila Odinga, and 18, 19 years old by the time the country had freed itself from the shackles of colonialism and many things that had informed and shaped his ideology, including the events that later on happened in the country, in the continent, and of course around the world. His own influence still reigning and footprints all over the political arena, and what he championed for, stood for, and defended to the core the beliefs he had, which were rooted in simple principles: equality, justice, freedom, the rule of law, constitutionalism, and of course the defining decade of the post-multi-party in 1991, and when he had supported the Moi government in the aftermath of the 1997 election. The live pictures coming to you from Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University in Bondo, Siaya County, where the service today will be happening before the final resting place of the former Prime Minister Kango Jaramogi in Bondo, where my colleague Sam Gituku has been detailing the process of the grave digging and what went into that, how they managed to also beat the tight timelines, given the importance of the man who will be resting in that graveyard, alongside, of course, the Odingas, his mother, his father, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. Of course, instrumental in a sense, since he will be joining people that he loved so much. Of course, he lost his father while in imprisonment. Odinga did not manage to attend the funeral of his mother, and this perhaps will be an opportunity of reunification for the Odingas, as of course that he clearly pointed out in his communication that he should be buried within 72 hours. And the members of the public have today turned out as they did yesterday, and of course the days before yesterday in Nairobi and in Kisumu, where all these events are today going to be marked by the end of an era for our former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, who will be laid to rest. And as you can see, the people who are waving the Kenyan flag in Bondo are waiting for the arrival of the body of the former Prime Minister and the kick-starting of today's session, where President William Ruto will be leading the process today. And of course, we expect speakers to also eulogize the former Prime Minister. It's all orange, and the mix of the tradition, as you can see, the blend, the beauty. And let's listen in to the Maasai dance at the moment, and the people who are celebrating what's happening there. Let's listen in.
wako kwa square ile ya graduation hatuwaoni?
Yesu
watu wa graduation square umelala.
Unataka mgongo unisha kwa hewa. Peperusha mikono juu. Peperusha mikono. Wapi vigelegele? Okolo, Yehova okolo. Ana vinyoteko, Yehova okolo. Okinyima paudo, Yehova okolo. Ene mwenyago duto, Yehova okolo. Okasa sadi, Yehova okolo. Ene moromo pako, Yehova okolo kawuono.
Jehova okolo.
Chumani malowa, okolo.
Jehova
Okolo Jehova,
okolo. Jehova okolo.
okolo tinende,
Okolo. Jehova
okolo nyasaye,
okolo.
ere ngamatelo okolo, okolo tinende ni,
Okolo. Jehova okolo.
adigi mangeyo, Yehova okolo, ene makelo ngima, Yehova okolo, ukinyima kawuono, Yehova okolo, obiro ywe pi wang'wa, Yehova okolo tinende,
Okolo. Jehova okolo.
tingwe lwe pi malowa,
Okolo. Jehova
kate ni kayuoga,
okolo. Jehova okolo.
okolo tinende ni,
Okolo. Jehova
kate pidhra,
okolo. Jehova okolo.
Yesu en man gi teko,
Okolo. Jehova
kate ni kayuoga,
okolo. Jehova okolo.
okolo nyasaye,
Okolo. Jehova
moting'o ngima,
okolo. Okolo.
okolo kawuono,
Okolo.
ting'o badiwa,
Jehova
omako mako, orundo rundo, Yesu mako mako, onyono nyono, Yesu mako mako, yokwaya, onyono nyono, emo otimamo, dakane, Yesu mako mako, orundo rundo, shuka chini, 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 nyiso ni miel kidape. Shuka chini, shuka chini, shuka chini, shuka chini. Wapi vigelegele? Injili ya Morona, Injili ya Morona, Injili ya Morona, Injili ya Morona.
And those are the live pictures of the proceedings in Bondo, Siaya County, where the burial of the former Prime Minister will be today, to be specific, at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University. And before the body will be later after the service moved to Kango Jaramogi. I'm now joined by Dr. Isaac Kalua Green, who is the Chief Steward, Green Africa Group, an ecopreneur, and also environmentalist known across the world for his, of course, forays in matters environment. Good morning, Dr. Hari.
Good morning, Ayub. What a sad day, what a sad season that we have lost such a profound man who stood for great things. And I take this humble opportunity to convey my condolences on my behalf and my family, Susan, David, Michelle, and Joy, our children, to the family of the late Raila Amolo Odinga, and to pray that God grants them the comfort that they need at a time like this. So we pray that above all, God's peace may abide with them.
Thank you, Dr. Hari. And in your article today on page 2 of the Standard newspaper, you said the man is worth celebrating because he chose the forest over votes. And you said if 45 million Kenyans each will plant 80 trees, will add to 3.6 billion new lives of greenery to this land. Schools can record saplings along exam scores, and this is a befitting send-off for our former Prime Minister. Tell us about the encounter you had with him and how he stood firm regarding the Mau forest question.
So first of all, what you're reading is my appeal in a manner that we honored Wangari Maathai when he passed on. We called on Kenyans to plant 71 trees. The first 71 trees were planted by the president.